Oh, cool.
Welcome to another episode of Go FUD Yourself, where we were just saying no Twitter Spaces today because I hate Twitter Spaces. Every time I try to host it, I get rugged. But we stream directly to Twitter anyways. In fact, to 3 different Twitter accounts. So I think that people should be able to find us. But maybe there's no network effect. I don't know.
I think they'll figure it out.
But you just stream to Twitter. You guys don't have a Twitter Spaces, right?
No, we just stream to Twitter.
But people love you, so they tune in.
Apparently.
Well,
yeah, we get some folks watching on Twitter because we do our AMAs on Discord, stream to Twitter, stream to YouTube, and we usually have an audience on all 3. So it's we try to make it convenient for people.
We did Twitch for a while. Actually, we still do Twitch sometimes, and I get a lot of people on Twitch popping on and asking for financial advice. Like no holds barred, just being like, "Hello, what token should I invest in?" Or like, "Hello, are you willing to personally advise me financially?" And I'm like, "Is this the SEC? Like, what's going on?"
It is. It's a sting operation. Like, let's test them.
I got a great scam actually on my Telegram the other day. Rome Blockchain Labs works with Banky really closely. And so I'm in all of the Banky groups, and I'm a mod, I think, on one of the Telegram groups or something. And people started messaging me asking if I held Banky and if I could send them Banky because it's illegal to buy in their country. And I was like, man, I can't wait for Nigerian princes to love crypto. Like, I'm so
right.
I can't wait until we devolve back to
so interesting. It's a whole new dynamic. Do you get anything other than spam on Telegram? Because I don't. Like,
no.
I don't know that there's a better alternative for peer-to-peer contact in the crypto sphere, which is why I still have it and why I deal with it.
Yeah.
But it is terrible. Absolutely. And it is the other day I opened it and was like, oh crap, like the DFK official group has a bunch of spam in it. Let me, clear that out. We don't have any permissions. Why don't I have permissions? And then I realized, no, they just made an entire fake group.
Oh, yeah.
And added everybody from the DFK group that had the permission set up to allow people to just blindly add them to groups, and just made an entire spam one. I'm like, well, thankfully y'all aren't very good at it, and it's super obvious. But that's really bad setup. Like that's not a good platform.
Something similar happened early in my crypto town. I was dealing with Banky at that time and getting onboarded to borrow, lend in Avalanche, that kind of thing. And Banky, somebody did exactly the same thing. They copied the whole group. They copied all the people except for the mods. And then they made fake accounts and they stole their pictures and had those fake mod accounts. Yeah, so like it was, I'm not going to say that it was high end, but at a first glance, you're like, oh, this is the Banky thing. They ended up with more people in that group than in the actual Banky group.
Yeah, they put the work in. They were subtle about it.
But I was really confused because I was familiar with Banky's promotional stance and what they were doing and what have you. And then this particular group suddenly one day was just like, hey, we have a Banky airdrop. And I contacted the Banky team and I was like, you have an airdrop? What are you thinking? And they were like, no, Karen, this is a scam. Please. Please.
It's that moment of like embarrassment and justification of like, no, though. Like you gotta hear the backstory, because like it's not that I'm just dumb. It's that like they actually put in the work on this one.
Yeah, I'm dumb and they built a better community than you, the official brand.
Because I mean, I've done the same thing where you're like, this looks legit. Like I have questions, but like maybe, and then no, it's not.
Anyway, I guess fraud is all we're talking about today, because we've got scams and then we've got court fraud. If you haven't noticed, we have a guest today. Our guest is JD. JD is out. JD is from DFK. And before we actually get into news that is about FTX, which I'm already tired of talking about, I heard that in DFK you now have pants.
We do, yes. I mean, the TLDR on how to make a game is if your community wants pants, you give them pants.
Is this really just to get Zuckerberg, or is this like
no? It's actually not at Zuckerberg at all. It's so essentially a couple months ago, I don't know, time isn't real, but at some point in the like relatively near past, we added our equipment slots to our heroes, and we
Right.
hadn't introduced our equipment yet, which we actually just did introduce that with pants and a few other things, but we introduced the slots. And so like you had hands and head and like armor, uh but the community immediately was like, well, there's no pants, like there's no pants slot. Why are there no pants? Are our heroes just going to run around pantsless? And so it just kind of became like a running joke in our community. And so then we were, designing our first equipment and making our PVE experience that's out now. And we're like, you know what the people need? People need pants. And
Yes.
so we made pants as a droppable item because why not? It's.
I've got to check. Is it only pants, or are there like loincloths, bikini bottoms, skirts, like capris? What's the
So currently, there's only one pair of pants. It does come in a couple different colors, but there's only one pair of pants. And then there's the opportunity for future stuff as well.
I'm disappointed.
Uh,
I want like a bike shorts hero.
that would be good. Yeah, I mean, all of these things are doable. They can happen. Yeah, right now it's one pair of ratty pants. They're called secondhand pants, and they're like patched.
That's hilarious, actually.
It's you gotta have fun with it, right? Like we're building a game. It should be fun. If people want
Well, have
pants,
pants
then
been
sure.
received well? Are people
Oh
happy with
yeah,
their pants? Okay.
people are stoked about it. Like that's what it's all about. Is just like doing the fun stuff. The people want pants. You know,
Well, what's your hero wearing? Like, what do you have in each of your slots?
nothing because I can't get any of them. I keep trying and I can't get them.
So do you even get pants, or do pants come like when you get your first item?
No, so pants are their own equipment drop. So basically, like when you play our PvE experience, if you beat it, you have a percentage chance of getting a piece of equipment. If you hit that chance, then there's another chance of what piece you get. And
Got
pants are actually one of the rarer ones too. Uh, but yeah, no matter how many times I win, I can't get any equipment. So my
Honestly, I think
guys are
this is
using their
reasonable.
basic.
People were pants free for like all of work from home.
I'm
So
saying.
it makes sense.
It does. And people were pants free when people started. Like you had to build up to pants.
As the game evolves, you'll get pants, just like the game of life, and also
Exactly.
Okay, well, is there anything else happening in DFK that's exciting that you just want to tell us about?
Let's see. So first PvE experience is out. That includes equipment, which is usable. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And if you haven't played it, go check it out. It's the first like full PvE experience. It really shows you what the combat system is capable of and will be even more capable of in the future. So super excited for that. But I think that's kind of the headline at the moment.
It's a good headline.
It is combat.
Sometimes it
Everybody
might
loves
catch you off
combat.
guard. Maybe you'll leak something. Sometimes Actually, I don't think you ever have. I think you're pretty tight-lipped, but
I'm usually the one keeping other people from leaking, so I'm usually pretty good about it.
you're tight-lipped, unlike everyone on the FTX trial. So today, going
My
forward,
memory is hazy on that.
going forward, we're going to talk about SBF because we have to. I'm actually really tired of talking about SBF, so I think we might just talk about ethics.
There we go.
And then there's some news about Ripple, and then of course there's the $1 billion charge against Grayscale that we're going to talk about. And then if we have time, maybe we'll talk about something fun, but I doubt it. I think this is just going to be an FU to tabloids. You ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, before we really jump into the news, do you have a bias? Do you have any preconceived notions about SBF and FTX? Are you paying attention to the court case? Do you care?
Not really. I mean, ultimately, my opinion kind of comes down to two things. One, are we going to do anything about it? Which lowers my investment level. But also, did he probably scam a bunch of people? I'd say so. and should he suffer for that? I would also say so. But
Do you need an out by the hour, every hour update on the court case though?
no,
Oh, weird.
the dredge of the court.
I feel like it's really tabloidy now. The first day that it came out, I listened to the Blockworks Twitter space about it, specifically for the stream to see what I should kind of hone in on. And it was so tabloidy, they even talked about what he was wearing.
Yeah,
And his haircut. And I was like, I don't care. Did he scam some people? Yes. Are we gonna have to wait 6 weeks for him to get punished? Yes.
Right. At least. Yeah, and that's where like I just no. Like me obsessively watching it is going to have no impact on the outcome, and therefore I'll just wait for the outcome in the summary. I like a TLDR on a good court case.
Okay, well, before we actually get into the case then, are you aware that if he gets his full sentencing, that'll be over 100 years in jail?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it was 115, 117. I could be wrong.
Nice.
That's like news from 2 weeks ago. Is that reasonable? I don't know. What if he lives for a really long time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at a certain point you should just say until you're like life without parole. Like,
yeah.
Just nope. We're gonna sentence you to 150 years. If you live to be 185, you get out. Like, no, no, you don't.
I always think it's really weird when they do that. I think they're trying to show or make an example and say, look, this is how seriously we're taking it. But in some ways, saying your whole life is probably more equivocal than saying
I would agree.
It's too abstract for a human, right? We're like 100 years.
Yeah, that doesn't. Who cares? I'm gonna be dead. It doesn't matter. Like, really, I'm only sentenced to like 50 to 60, and then I die, so it's fine.
Yeah, you're getting off easy.
Exactly.
So because this is really tabloidy, the biggest news that people are saying right now is that the judge is impatient. The judge is lashing out and he's bored and he thinks that the testimonies should be stronger and he thinks that the lawyers should be doing better jobs and that there's no real case being brought forward and that they're just bringing forward facts that everybody already knows, which, like, true.
Also kind of their job.
Yeah, I think if they have an appropriate jury, the jury wouldn't know all the facts, and that's why they have to bring them forward.
Right.
I mean, I'm not a judge or a lawyer or on the jury, so maybe I don't understand how that works.
Did you ever on TV though?
You ever done jury duty?
No.
No?
No.
You've never been summoned?
Nope.
Oh man.
I hope to continue to avoid it for the rest of my life.
You're supposed to like want to. It's like your patriotic duty or something.
No, I'm good.
Can you imagine being summoned for this case?
I mean, at least that one, like, at least it's a good one. Like, and that's really what it boils down to is I don't live in a city with good enough trials.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If I did get summoned, it would be for something boring, and I don't want that.
All right.
I gotta move to more crime hubs.
Yeah, that's a really good attitude to have about it. Wait, do you think people in higher crime areas have to do jury duty more? I never considered.
I mean, one would imagine.
Yeah.
If they have more trials, they're going through their pool faster, and they have to get more people. And higher crime usually results in, well, never mind. I'm not even gonna. But yeah, no, I'm guessing yes.
I never even considered that. I only got summoned for jury duty once, and I didn't technically live here anymore. I was just pretending to live here, so it was a really awkward try to get out of jury duty, which I did by like not showing up.
Wait, aren't you in Canada?
Yeah.
Do y'all have crime?
Barely.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Actually, there's some wild crime. Yeah, hold on. This is like totally unrelated to crypto. There's some wild crime right now going on in Saskatchewan.
What?
In this tiny little town. I actually can't remember offhand what the town is, but basically, this quasi-terrorist group has entered Saskatchewan, and they are calling themselves the rightful rulers of Canada. And there's a queen of Canada and a king of Canada, and they're not married. This is like a fake monarchy. And anyways, they have actually taken over the local school and taken up like camp in the gym and stuff. And they go through the streets with sirens and they like attack people. And they're saying that they are the rightful owners or people.
What?
And the thing that's wacky is like, I don't know how to put this, but we have a lot of Indigenous rights issues in Canada, right? And this isn't a group of Indigenous people being like, we are the rightful owners and we're going to have violent decolonialization. This is just some people. Like some random people with no real agenda other than to like be recognized. And they're
And to
like a
rule Canada,
mishmash of people
apparently.
of ages and maybe they're a really good diverse representation of Canadians. I don't know. But so they have actually threatened public beheadings in this small town in Saskatchewan, but no one knows what to do because all we have in small town Saskatchewan is like an RCMP officer, right? And
Right.
so the town just yesterday got together and had a big protest standing near the school, just trying to make noise to make them uncomfortable so they'll leave because that's all we can think to do for these people.
Uh-huh.
So yes, we do have a lot of crime.
There are so many layers to that story, and I wow.
Yes.
Also the fact that you just threw out RMCP, the fact that that is an actual abbreviation just makes me happy.
Yes, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. It's what most of our police are.
I know, but like, it's yeah, you know,
Anyway, the
the
judge
good
on that
old
trial is going to be not bored. It's just it's a
no.
weird thing because we have a lot of
Other jury
activist groups, and you would think that some of those activist groups would be responsible for this, but it's literally just some people. Like they don't have an
That's
agenda. Like
that is a jury I would be on. I'm
yeah,
okay with that one.
it's worth it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a good
Well, I don't know.
story.
I'm kind of wondering now if people are bored of being on the jury with SBF, because maybe
I
they're
feel like they
feeling the
have to
same
be.
way as the judge. They're like, okay, get on with it.
I feel like they have to be. I mean, like, even just from because like I said, I have not been, like, closely following it,
Right.
but even just from the summaries I've seen, like, you know, the judge's at least supposed outlook of, like, nobody's making arguments does seem to be relatively like, nobody's like, "Yeah, he did this." They're just like, "Yeah, this happened." And you're like, "O okay.
There
That's
seems to be a
cool."
lot of this happened and I didn't do it.
Right, right. Like, you know, especially, like, from a prosecution standpoint, you know, they have all of the burden of proof. Like, I would expect more compelling,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
more compelling arguments, more compelling evidence,
I
like
tried to read into this a bit further, and basically they're saying that all of the witnesses were primed by both the prosecution and defense, and so even
shocking.
things obvious, and so even the things that the prosecution thought were surefire, after the defense went in, now those testimonies are less certain and people are less willing to commit. And I found a couple of quotes. Let me find them here from what was actually going on in there. One was that Singh, who was one of the
Mhm,
co-founders, right? The prosecution asked him, "Did you have a view that Alameda could borrow so long as borrows weren't in excess of assets?" Sorry, the defense asked him that, not the prosecution.
mhm.
"Did you have a view that Alameda could borrow so long as borrows weren't in excess of assets?" Hoping that he would get somebody to say yes, be like, "Well, yeah, so long as it's not in excess of assets, that makes sense." And Singh did not answer straightforwardly. He didn't answer yes or no. He was like, "Well, there are a lot of scenarios where
Uh-huh.
sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not appropriate." And apparently the lawyer was like visibly dejected and sighed, as was the judge. So now I'm just imagining that this courtroom is just people like with their head in their hands, frustrated for 6 weeks, because what else is going to happen?
I mean, it probably is, and that's where, like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening when he was arrested, a
Yeah,
lot. But we had enough to convince another country to extradite him.
right.
What happened to
But
that?
now, yeah.
Like,
What's also
most
interesting is they're saying that a lot of his inner circle, specifically Singh, Elia, and I don't know, someone else. Clearly, I'm following
mm,
this really closely. Most of his inner circle has actually pled guilty, right? Because they wanted to have a
yeah,
plea bargain or a plea deal. And this is the prisoner's dilemma now, no matter what SBF does, like he's probably going to be found guilty because they've already pled guilty. But
right.
now that they've pled guilty, people are questioning their credibility.
Mhm.
Because if
I
you are
mean, well,
guilty, what can we believe?
right, exactly, and that's, like wasn't his, is it his girlfriend? I think it was his girlfriend. Wasn't
Yeah,
she supposed to be, like, a star witness against him? Whatever
yeah.
happened with that?
Well, maybe she's busy.
Yeah, I guess. She got distracted.
So,
But yeah, I
and then
mean
some of the other stuff that's going on is like, to me, this should be pretty straightforward. This should be like, hello, did you have assets? And then did you
Right.
take them wrongly and then spend them wrongly? Oh, great. But instead, this has delved into like, was he making ethical decisions? Did he have the intention of doing the bad thing? And I'm like, man, if I jaywalk with good intention, like, is that fine?
Right, exactly, because I don't
Allowable?
think it works that way. Like, I
Yeah.
always, have the best intentions anytime I do anything even slightly illegal. But yeah, and that's where, like, I'm surprised because I saw that a bunch of them were pleading guilty. And I mean, you have to assume that's coming with plea deals because why else would they do it?
Yeah.
I'm surprised that none of those plea deals include actual evidence. Like, not testimonies, not give us papers.
Maybe they're bad
Like,
deals. Maybe they're only going to jail for 110 years.
that is possible too. Maybe they are. Yeah.
So what this has kind of devolved into, and where I'm going to lead you for the rest of this episode, I guess, is into ethics. So SBF, what's coming into question now are conversations and interviews that he's had over the past like 5 years. And the biggest one under question right now is one that he had with Vox in November 2022, because he had a verbal interview and then they did follow-up messages via both Twitter and, from what I can tell, Telegram. So not Signal. I guess Signal is your answer to Twitter. But basically in
The
these interviews,
Telegram one might be a fake
yeah,
Vox
who
though.
knows?
You don't know.
Look at the Twitter. It could be an intern if you're at Cointest, or Cointelegraph. But so what's really coming out now is that he basically said that all of the positive things he talks about is
Mhm.
just for press. And so part of the defense was that he actually started working in crypto to be really philanthropic and he wanted to
Mhm.
be helping others and what have you. And then since then, he's on record saying that ethics are a dumb game we woke Westerners play. So that's probably not good for his defense.
It seems contradictory. I might be biased, and this might also be why I shouldn't be on a jury. But I feel like if your defense is, let's try to talk about how good of a person you are, you're probably guilty.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise your defense should probably be focused on how you didn't do whatever you're accused of. And if you're just trying to convince me that you're a good person, well, the next part of that is who made a mistake, which means you did, like, I don't know, maybe that's probably why I shouldn't be on
Again,
the
he wasn't
jury.
jaywalking. He stole billions of dollars from. He had an
Right,
$8 billion shortage. Like,
right, yeah, no, even with the best of intentions, no,
which
but
on that,
like,
just for the record, he stated to Vox, because this was around the time that this all started, right? He stated to Vox that each individual decision seemed fine, and I didn't realize how big their sum was until the end. I feel like 8 billion is too late to realize that, personally. I feel like within the first
yeah,
billion, I would be like,
right, right, you made it all the way through 8, like, all of it. You made it through all of it.
They just went for it.
Uh,
So the
there's, like,
other
there's
thing that
both a dollar amount and a percentage where you're like, "No, no, no." After that, you
like,
had to
is that the
run.
limit? And I guess if he's found not guilty, maybe 8 billion becomes the limit, like the allowable limit of fraud.
Right, yeah, that's it. Yeah, moving forward,
Just
every
pay
company
for it.
knows
Especially
where
since
the
we have the $1 billion story going on also. So the other thing that I
yeah.
have to say about him is that he is not altruistic, obviously, even though that's what they want you to believe. Maybe he was when he was 22, but not now. But so he also told Vox that although he always stated that regulation was important, he actually takes a stance of fuck regulators, they won't do anything anyways. Which I feel like he just listened to a Rage Against the Machine song and then was like, that's how I feel about
I'm
institutionalization.
in. Yeah, I mean, that is it. Well, I mean, it's funny too, because, like, in a sense, that is a large part of the crypto community, or at least their outlook. But
I mean,
yeah,
true, but they didn't short $8 billion, so like it's a little
right,
bit
exactly. So
different.
it's
Yeah.
fine. And that's where, like, the whole, like, oh, I believe in regulate. I mean, that's just a corporate line. Like, no company has an employee who's gonna tell you that they don't believe in regulation and follow it. Like, come on. Every company employee of every company that would be talking to a reporter or a lawyer knows the line. you know, we strive to follow every regulation to the best extent of our ability. Like,
Because you
you
have
know,
to. I'm pretty sure a lawyer told you to say that right now on this stream.
honestly, they did. One just like popped into my AirPod. I don't know where they came from. I don't know who they were, but they were just like, but yeah, like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, why are we putting stock in that? Like,
So I guess before we go, we should talk about this $1 billion thing that's going on. Did you read about this?
very, very briefly.
Okay, I also only read about it briefly. It came out, I think, on Wednesday this week, but I kind of wanted to
Yeah.
wait until we were talking about trial stuff to really get into it because this is only $1 billion of crypto fraud. It's nowhere
Right.
near 8.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Gemini, if I were Gemini, I'd be stalling that trial until SBF's
Heck
verdict was
yeah.
passed down.
Not legal
Like,
advice.
yeah, we're going for some precedent here. They said 8 billion was cool, so we're golden. We can just drop the suit.
So
Uh,
there's actually a list of companies. The biggest companies on the group are Gemini Trust, Genesis Global Capital, Digital Currency Group, but I read somewhere that there were over 15 companies listed. So this is a pretty large thing. As presumably they were all working hand in hand, had shared shareholders, that kind of thing. The lawsuit alleges that they defrauded over 230,000 investors, primarily New Yorkers, of more than $1 billion, just over $1 billion, 1.1 billion, I believe. Then that money was lent to other companies like Three Arrows and Almeida.
mhm.
And that's probably why it's coming up now. But I mean, if Three Arrows and Almeida didn't know that that money was, I don't know, I think they could make a case that they didn't know that it was fraudulent money, but also
Right.
maybe that does depend on the precedent of what ends up going on here. But basically, the lawsuit says that Gemini and Genesis knew that the loans were undersecured and then loaned them out anyways. And then also those who took the loans knew that they were undersecured and took them anyways. And so everyone is at fault. Everyone's at fault.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be really hard to prove that the ones that took the loans knew.
Right.
It's possible. I mean, it's definitely possible that they knew, but it's possible to prove that they knew. But you're going to have some pretty good proof about that. Like, you're going to need the
Yeah.
right evidence to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they knew that they were fraudulent. Because if they didn't know, then the people that borrowed the loan, I mean, again, not a lawyer, but as far as I know, like, you can't really go after them for borrowing fraudulent funds that they didn't know were fraudulent. But the groups that lent them out, you can definitely obviously go after. And that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out too,
Which
especially with
is,
the digital currency group.
yeah, and that is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and Ikiagi and a variety of other ones.
Yeah.
The thing to note also is that I guess when you're accused of stuff, what you should do is just sort of like faint a little bit, be like a wilting woman, be like, oh, I had no idea. Because most of the CEOs have said, what baseless allegations? I can't believe they would think this of me. How could you believe that this would be who I am? And I'm like, hey guys, you're working with massive amounts of money.
Right. Yeah.
Prepare to be under scrutiny. Like, don't be surprised when these things come up. And so all of the news says, oh, these companies have been blindsided. It's just allegations, so on and so forth. I'm like, yeah, the New York State is not going to have a baseless trial.
One wouldn't imagine. Yeah. No, they got something. Whether or not it's enough is a different story, but one
That's
would
fine,
imagine
but
they
like,
have something.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like, I mean, it sucks because every one of these articles is just that much worse for the industry right now. Like, it's just
I know.
more crap, more bad news, more bad actors, more bad. But
Ongoing.
at the same time, like, ideally it leads to the space being better as a whole. And, having some level of protection so that when people defraud 230,000 people out of $1 billion, they do, go to prison. That would be good.
But that's just
Uh,
bank.
well, and see, that's what gets me is like all of these articles come out about, FTX, about Gemini, about Grayscale, about, Silicon Valley Bank, like all these articles, and everybody's like, it's crypto's not safe, crypto's dangerous. And it's like, you realize all of these people are the people that like crypto's meant to get away from. Like, that's the point, is to not have an FTX, to not have like
Not
that's the
anymore.
goal. And so that's what's disappointing, I guess, for lack of a better term, is just that like every one of these articles hurts the space in the public perception, but it should be showing the value of the space, but
Absolutely.
the public just doesn't have the background, and there's too many of the articles that are written skewed directly towards make crypto sound dangerous.
Yes. So I actually, this is just me, because the news is always so bad. I was trying to think of different ways to frame it to show that this is just bad actors. This isn't everybody
Mm.
in crypto. This is just bad actors. It's not even the norm in crypto. In fact, we also don't approve of these things going on. And so what I
And they
did,
aren't doing crypto things. They're
right,
doing bank
they're doing big
things.
bang things. And so what I've done is I've actually created a series with my graphic designer called The Monsters of Crypto. And it
Ooh.
has not taken off because I have no audience, but I'm going to show the DFK team in case anybody wants to steal it, because you guys have a wide audience. And I would love, I don't even care if it's me who gets credit for this. I just
Where are
want
you putting
this
it?
statement to be Monsters of Crypto. So here's one example is SBF as
That's
a monster of
awesome.
crypto. And so I
Where
actually wrote like a summary of where he came from and that kind of thing, but I made it really campy and spoopy so that
Right,
it's like, he's a monster and that's why he's on trial. This isn't the average kind of person.
right. Where
Um,
are you posting these?
well, so we put them on Twitter, but I think we have a shadow ban.
Who, on RBL's Twitter or on your Twitter?
No, on RBL's Twitter.
I haven't seen them at all.
Yeah, I think we have a shadow ban. It's actually really brutal.
Oh no.
And then I put them on our LinkedIn, which is not where I thought people would like them, and people love them on LinkedIn. We get like a ton of click through.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which is not where I expected. We also did, because people don't like Gary Gensler and see him
Mm,
as kind of like this haunting figure of crypto. We
right.
also did this
In
guy.
the vast and mysterious cryptoverse, there is one ghoul that financially
Oh, this is excellent. Yeah, no, I'm happy to help promote them. Let's do this.
There's
This
a couple
sounds like
other
a
ones that I've got
blast.
coming out in the next few days. One is a shill shark, which we actually called aggressive sharketing.
That's excellent also.
Yeah, there's a couple like that are coming up. But my point here is that we have all of these tabloidy components. That's
Right.
like, hey, look how evil all these people are. Look, even Mila Kunis is into crypto and she did it wrong too, and she stole your money too. And it's like, there's no good news. And we just
Right.
really need to, I think, separate this concept of like, yeah, there are monsters in the industry, and we don't even really see them as part of our industry. We see them as taking
Yeah.
pages from previous industries. And then there's the rest of us building pants.
Well, and that's exactly. And that's just where like the current, media cycle is very anti-crypto, and it's a real shame because it just results in things being framed anti-crypto that shouldn't be, don't have anything to do with it. Real quick, I have a question about LinkedIn. So while I was browsing to see if I could find any more like interesting news, I found an article that talked about like anonymous teams, which has always kind of been a topic. It was just like they did an independent study a few months ago. They basically just took like the top 1,000 projects from one of the stat sites and tried to see like, do they have a team page, whatever. But it was an interesting article until near the end, and I'll just say up front, like I lost all respect for it at the end, because it said, only 25% of these projects or something like that have a presence on LinkedIn. This is a necessity. This is not a nice to have. This is a must have. You can't be a company without a LinkedIn presence. And at that moment, I just closed the article. But I'm just curious, like, is that just me? Am I wrong? Because I've never looked at like, I wonder if this company is legit. Do they have a LinkedIn? No, not legit. Like,
I actually had an argument about this. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but it was an internal argument at RBL. I went away for 4 days, including the weekend, which, like, if you work in crypto, you should never do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, the whole world has lit on fire
yeah,
while
it
you
was
were gone.
awful. When I came back,
Everything has
everything
changed.
was destroyed, including the biggest point of contention. So I guess while I was away, they decided to audit my work. This was like the first year that I was here, and I was still learning about crypto and that kind of stuff. And they were really mad. Someone was really mad that we didn't have a Facebook page. And so we do now, because I was told I had to make one. But I have, and to my credit, I was like, you know what? If we're going to have this, I should see how we can populate it. I can see how we can talk to people on Facebook. I'll see how it goes. I haven't found any traction. Nobody on Facebook wants to talk about crypto, unless maybe Facebook Marketplace starts accepting Dogecoin. That's
Then
the
maybe,
only way I
because
can think of making this work.
DFK also had a Facebook. We still have a Facebook page, but we also had a Facebook group.
Oh.
And we ended up deleting the group. I mean, it was just It had like 200 members. 198 of them were also in our Discord.
We should have let's do
And
a joint Facebook campaign. Let's do it for Christmas.
Let's spread the word to the Facebookers. So like we still have our page just because like sure. But yeah, like
But, like, what
Facebook
do you
just
do with
isn't
it, right? I don't know.
well, right. Like Facebook isn't a crypto platform. Like Facebook isn't really a platform where like you're presented with pages
Well,
unless you're paying for
If
marketing.
you're gonna participate in the metaverse, maybe Facebook's the answer.
No.
Okay.
No.
Roland, you are always a joy to have. Where can people find you if they want to argue with you about Facebook?
Let's do it. And LinkedIn. Also, you can come at me for my opinions on LinkedIn. I'm open to it. You can't find me on LinkedIn, though, for obvious reasons. But at @BolonSoron_DFK on Twitter and is also my Telegram if you want to try to send me some scams. I probably will not believe that you're not a scam. And then BolonSoron on Discord as well.
Amazing. Well, that's another episode of Go Find Yourself. I think we said FU to tabloids today, sort of, or maybe to Facebook. It's hard to tell.
Is there a difference between Facebook and a tabloid?
No. Especially in Canada. Never mind. They changed our news laws. You can't actually read news on Facebook anymore. Yeah, so it's actually just spam. There's just nothing on it. In fact, if you read something on Facebook, you know that it's not news. Okay, so that is Go Find Yourself for today. We are on every platform you've ever wanted to watch anything on, I promise. Sometimes I even put us on Rumble if I'm feeling real classy. Seriously, like, share, subscribe. Help us overcome our shadow ban that we apparently have because it's paining me to great depths. And Bolin, go find yourself.
Go find yourself. Thanks for